Imagine a man walking through a dense forest at nightfall. The cold is pressing, and the only thing that lights your path is the weak light of a lamp about to go out. He holds an old, worn-out map, but something stops him from moving forward. Doubt. Every trail seems dangerous. Every shadow seems to hide an obstacle. He is afraid of taking the wrong path and ending up even more lost. But as he looks up at the sky, he notices something curious. The darker the night, the brighter the stars. And then a question arises: is true abundance already within your reach, just waiting for you to see it? Be honest. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to walk through life without worries, while others face endless difficulties? What causes some to have unexpected opportunities, while others live trapped in a cycle of scarcity? Was it a matter of luck, destination, or is there a secret behind this difference? The answer may surprise you. Abundance is not a privilege for a few, but a principle available to everyone. The difference lies in the way each person sees and accesses this reality. Since we were children, we have heard phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," or "you have to work hard to achieve something in life." Yes, effort has its value, but true prosperity goes beyond sweat and sacrifice. Great spiritual leaders, visionaries, and even scientists have discovered a powerful truth. The state of our mind and our faith directly influences the reality we live. Be part of our spiritual family. Subscribe to the channel today and comment "I believe" below as a symbol that you accept your role in this great transition. Let your energy be counted among the chosen. The time is now. Science proves this. Studies from Princeton University show that people who live with a scarcity mindset have up to 40% less cognitive capacity to make good financial decisions. This means that when we believe that life is limited, we make decisions that reinforce that limitation. On the other hand, research from Harvard University reveals that individuals who cultivate gratitude and generosity experience higher levels of success and happiness because they train their minds to see possibilities where others see barriers. What if I told you that this idea of abundance is not new? The Bible is full of stories that prove this reality. Think of Elijah supported by ravens in the desert, or in the widow of Zarephath, who saw her oil and flour multiply when everything seemed lost. The people of Israel received manna from heaven for 40 years without having to plant or harvest. These events were not coincidences, but clear demonstrations of a divine principle. When we trust in God's provision, He opens paths where we previously only saw barriers. Now, think about your own life. How many times have you felt trapped by financial worries? Maybe you've tried everything, worked harder, saved, looked for alternatives, but still, the feeling of scarcity persists. What no one taught you is that true abundance begins inside you, even before manifesting itself in the outside world. In Psalm 23 we read, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." This is not just a beautiful phrase, but a spiritual truth. God doesn't want you to worry about tomorrow. He wants you to have peace, security, and more than enough, not just to meet your own needs, but so that you can be a channel of blessings for others. But there is one crucial detail. Abundance is not enough for those who doubt it. If in your heart there is a belief that wealth and prosperity are for the few, or that life will always be difficult, this conviction may be blocking your own blessing. Jesus said, "Everything is possible to those who believe." Mark 9:23. The big question is, do you really believe? Many people still live stuck in old thought patterns without realizing that they can transform them. But now that you know this truth, what are you going to do with it? In the next few minutes, you will discover how to break cycles of scarcity, how to align yourself with the flow of divine provision, and how to live a life of fulfillment without guilt or fear. But first, Close your eyes for a moment. Visualize your life without financial worries. Imagine helping your family, contributing to causes you love, traveling without anxiety, living life fully. Now ask yourself, if God owns all the silver and all the gold, Haggai 2:8, why shouldn't I have access to that abundance? The answer is within you. It's in the way you see your own journey. Are you ready to take the first step? The transformation begins now. Your journey is just beginning. It's time to regain your strength and build a new path. Subscribe to the channel and be part of this community that is awakening to the truth. Abundance goes beyond finances, the true meaning of prosperity. If you ask most people what being prosperous means, the answer will almost always be linked to money. For many, prosperity boils down to a full bank account, material possessions, and financial security. But is that all? Can a person be truly prosperous if they have riches, but live in constant anxiety, loneliness, or without a clear purpose? True prosperity goes far beyond money. It involves health, healthy relationships, inner peace, and a deep sense of purpose. Just look at history. Ancient civilizations already understood that abundance was not limited to material wealth. The Egyptians, for example, saw prosperity as a balance between body, mind, and spirit. In Mesopotamia, it was believed that a prosperous life was one in which a person accumulated wisdom and contributed to society. But what does the Bible say about this? From the earliest times, God demonstrated his desire for his children to live in the fullness of abundance. In the book of Genesis, he promised Abraham, "I will greatly multiply your descendants like the stars of the sky and like the sand on the seashore, and your descendants will possess the cities of their enemies." Genesis 22:17. This promise not only involved riches, but also protection, family growth, and influence over the nations. If we move forward in history, we see that this principle has been repeated countless times. The Israelites, for example, lived 400 years as slaves in Egypt. To human eyes, it seemed impossible that a people without land, without an army, and without resources could prosper. But God had a plan. When they were finally freed by Moses, he led them through the desert and provided for them. For 40 years with manna, quails, and water that flowed from the rock. But here's the most important detail. They had enough to last each day, but they had to trust that the supply would not fail. This teaches us a valuable lesson. Prosperity does not mean having everything accumulated at once, but living with the certainty that you will never lack what you need. Centuries later, Jesus reinforced this same principle when he taught his disciples to pray, "Give us this day our daily bread," Matthew 6:11. This shows that God wants us to have continuous provision, not just financially, but also in all areas of life. Prosperity is not just having, but sharing. Another common misconception is to believe that prosperity is just about accumulate things. However, the Bible teaches that those who are truly prosperous is the one who shares and blesses other people. In Proverbs 11:25, it is written, "The generous soul will prosper, and he who listens will also be answered." This principle can be observed even in the modern world. A study carried out by the University of Notre Dame showed that generous people, that is, those who give part of what they have, be it time, money, or resources, are 15% more likely to achieve long-term financial and emotional stability. This is because generosity creates a cycle of reciprocity and opens doors to new opportunities. Examples of this are everywhere. John D. Rockefeller, one of the richest men in history, dedicated 10% of his earnings to charity from a young age. In his later years, his foundation funded medical research that saved millions of lives. Another case is that of Bill Gates, who, despite being a billionaire, decided to donate a large part of his fortune to help eradicate diseases in Africa. Abundance also involves health and inner peace. There is no point in having money if the person does not have the health to enjoy it or is tormented by worries. Scientific research confirms that financial stress can lead to serious health problems. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, finance-related stress is among the top 3 causes of depression and anxiety in the world. On the other hand, people who cultivate a spirit of gratitude and trust demonstrate lower levels of cortisol, stress hormone, and are up to 30% more likely to live a long and healthy life, according to a Mayo Clinic study. This proves something that the Bible has taught for centuries. A happy heart is like medicine, but a crushed spirit dries the bones. Proverbs 17:22. How to apply this principle in life? If true prosperity goes beyond finances, how can we live abundantly in all areas? Here are 3 practical steps. Change your mindset about scarcity. Many people live in fear of losing what they have. But when we understand that God is the source of all provision, we learn to trust that we will never lack what we need. Invest in your relationships. Studies show that people with strong, healthy connections are happier and live longer. Prosperity is also in the way we relate to others. Practice generosity. The more you share, the more you receive. This doesn't just mean money, but also time, words of encouragement and help for those in need. Spiritual prosperity is not about having more, but about living better. It is knowing that your life is aligned with divine principles and that regardless of the circumstances, God will always meet your needs. In the next chapters, we will delve even deeper into these concepts and understand how to definitively break patterns of scarcity. But for now, think about it. In what area of your life do you need to experience more prosperity? The transformation has already begun. It's time to regain your strength and build a new path. If this video is making sense to you, don't stop here. Click subscribe now and discover the next step towards your transformation. Personal transformation through faith. The power of believing in the invisible. What makes a person get up after countless falls? What drives someone to keep believing, even when everything seems lost? The answer lies in a powerful but often overlooked element, the faith. History is full of examples of individuals who achieved the impossible because they decided to believe. However, faith is not an abstract concept or just a motivational idea. She is the force capable of altering realities and transforming lives. But how does this happen? How can faith directly influence our trajectory and rewrite our future? To understand this principle, we need to analyze its foundations and how it operates in practice. What is faith, and how does it change our reality? Faith is not just a positive feeling or a vague hope that something will work out. In the biblical sense, it is defined as the certainty of what we hope for and the proof of things we do not see. Hebrews 11:1. This means that faith is not based on what is visible or tangible, but on the conviction that something is already a reality before it even manifests itself in the physical world. This idea may seem abstract to some, but modern science has demonstrated that the way we believe and think directly influences our actions and consequently our results. Studies carried out at Stanford University on the growth mindset show that individuals who believe in their ability to learn and evolve have significantly superior performance to those who see their abilities as something fixed and immutable. Faith, therefore, functions as a foundation for personal transformation. When a person believes that their life can change, they begin to make decisions that bring them closer to that change. Historical and biblical examples of transformation through faith. The Bible is full of stories of people who defied circumstances through faith. One of the most striking examples is that of Peter, who walked on water when he trusted the word of Jesus. Matthew 14:29. The moment he doubted, he sank, which shows that faith sustains our actions while doubt paralyzes us. Another emblematic case is that of Joseph of Egypt. Sold into slavery by his own brothers and unjustly imprisoned, he could have given himself over to despair. However, he maintained his trust in God, and years later he became governor of Egypt, responsible for saving thousands from famine. Jose's trajectory shows that faith does not exempt us from challenges, but it enables us to overcome them. In more recent history, we can see examples such as Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison without losing the conviction that one day he would see South Africa free from apartheid. His unwavering belief made him one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century. All of these stories have one thing in common: faith precedes victory. The role of faith in personal transformation. Many people live trapped in limiting thought patterns, believing that their current circumstances determine their future. But faith teaches us that what we see today does not need to be our reality tomorrow. Here are 3 ways faith works in personal transformation. Renewal of the mind. The Apostle Paul wrote, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Romans 12:2. This means that change starts from the inside out. If a person continues to harbor thoughts of failure, fear, and scarcity, their life will reflect this. But when the mind is filled with truths of hope and possibilities, circumstances begin to change. Belief-based action. Having faith does not just mean believing, but acting in accordance with that belief. David didn't defeat Goliath just because he believed he could. He stepped forward, picked up his sling, and faced the giant. Likewise, those who want transformation need to take concrete actions. Resistance in the face of adversity. No change happens without challenges. The difference between those who overcome and those who give up is the conviction that victory has already been guaranteed. People of faith understand that difficulties are just temporary phases and not a final destination. How to develop a faith capable of changing your life? If faith is so powerful, how can we cultivate it? Here are some practices that can strengthen this transformative capacity. Feed your mind with positive truths. Studies show that the human brain responds to repetition. If we constantly hear words of defeat, we begin to believe them. But if we surround ourselves with messages of hope and confidence, our mindset becomes stronger. Practice gratitude daily. UC Berkeley conducted a study that proved that people who write down 3 things they are grateful for daily experience a significant reduction in stress and anxiety levels. This happens because gratitude reinforces the belief that life is constantly improving. Make decisions aligned with your faith. If you believe that a new path is opening up for you, act as if it were already reality. Small daily decisions shape big transformations. The time to choose what to believe. Throughout history, those who have achieved great transformations were not the strongest nor the richest, but those who chose to believe. Now, the question for you is, what reality have you been feeding in your mind? Have you been trusting the invisible, or have you been letting fear define your steps? The choice is before you. And, as the great stories of faith show, whoever decides to trust walks towards a future that previously seemed impossible. Share this knowledge with the world. Together, we can spread this message and help more people become free. Subscribe to the channel and send this video to anyone who needs to hear this truth. Confidence and overcoming anxiety. How to overcome fear and live in peace. Imagine a man about to cross a suspension bridge over a great abyss. Your feet tremble, your heart races, and your mind is filled with a single thought. What if I fall? He knows he needs to get to the other side, but the fear of the unknown paralyzes him. Now, Imagine another scenario. A child holds his father's hand while walking. Even without knowing where she's going, she moves forward without hesitation because she trusts that she is safe. The big difference between the two is not the situation, but the trust. Fear and anxiety are part of many people's lives. Uncertainty about the future, worry about financial problems, unstable relationships, and even the feeling of not being in control generate a cycle of insecurity that can be suffocating. However, faith and trust in spiritual principles are capable of breaking this pattern and bringing true peace. But how does this work? How can confidence replace anxiety and transform the way we face challenges? What is anxiety and how does it affect us? Anxiety is an emotional state that arises when our mind fixates on what could go wrong. It makes us imagine negative scenarios and get stuck in a cycle of worries. According to the World Health Organization (WHO), approximately 301 million people worldwide suffer from anxiety disorders. Modern psychology explains that anxiety activates the fear response system, releasing hormones such as cortisol, which increase stress and affect our ability to reason and make decisions. Although the Bible teaches us a different path, Jesus said, "Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will bring its own worries." Matthew 6:34. This doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities, but understanding that excessive worry doesn't solve problems, it only weakens us. Biblical examples of confidence in the midst of adversity. The story of David versus Goliath is a classic example of unwavering trust. While the entire army of Israel was terrified before the giant, David kept his faith firm. He did not look at the size of the problem, but at the greatness of God. His confidence allowed him to act without fear, and this certainty led him to victory. 1 Samuel 17:45-47. Another inspiring example is that of Moses at the Red Sea. When the people of Israel were surrounded by the Egyptian army, despair took over, but Moses maintained his confidence and declared, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm and see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." Exodus 14:13. At the right moment, the sea parted, showing that true trust brings unimaginable solutions. These accounts are not just ancient stories. These are principles applicable to our reality. When we face challenges, we can choose between feeding fear or trusting that God has already prepared a way. Science confirms the power of trust. Modern neuroscience also reinforces this concept. Studies from Harvard University indicate that people who cultivate trust and practice gratitude have lower levels of anxiety and stress. Faith strengthens the brain, promoting greater mental clarity and emotional resistance. Another research published by Journal of Psychiatric Research revealed that individuals who practice meditation and prayer regularly reduce anxiety symptoms by up to 30%. This is because the mind trained to trust and rest becomes less susceptible to fear. How to build a life based on trust? If trust is capable of transforming our reality, how can we develop it? Here are 3 essential steps. Change your focus. Anxiety grows when we focus on the problem. But when we focus our attention on the solution and the certainty that God is in control, our mind finds rest. Philippians 4:6 instructs us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, present your requests to God." Practical in entrega, we often try to solve everything ourselves. But trust means surrendering what we cannot change and acting on what is within our power. Isaiah 26:3 reminds us, "You will keep in perfect peace he whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you." Replace doubt with gratitude. Gratitude is one of the greatest antidotes to anxiety. When we recognize what we already have, our mind frees itself from the fear of lack. Studies show that people who write down 3 reasons for gratitude every day experience a significant improvement in emotional well-being. The time to choose. Trust. The truth is that life will always present challenges, but how we react to them defines our destiny. We can live dominated by worry or choose to trust that everything is under control. Now, I ask you, what have you been feeding more, anxiety or confidence? In the next chapters, we will explore even deeper techniques for cultivating this inner peace and living a worry-free life. The transformation has already begun. To not miss any message from God, click the subscribe button, write "I'm ready" in the comments, and start aligning your energy with the transformation that is coming. The decision is in your hands. By now, you have realized that abundance, prosperity, and inner peace are not privileges for a few, but principles accessible to everyone who chooses to see beyond limitation. We talk about how mindset influences your reality, how faith can transform any circumstance, and how confidence can replace anxiety. You heard real stories of people who overcame seemingly impossible challenges because they believed there was a greater purpose guiding their steps. But now comes the most important part. What are you going to do with this knowledge? The truth is that nothing changes until you decide to change. If you remain stuck in fear, doubt, and the same old beliefs, your life will remain the same. But if you decide today to renew your mind, trust that provision is within your reach, and act on that conviction, then your reality will begin to transform. Think about it. What is stopping you from living the life you want? Is it insecurity? The belief that it is not possible? The fear of failing? If it is any of these reasons, know that the only thing separating you from change is a choice. The Bible teaches us, "The righteous will live by faith." Habakkuk 2:4. This means that life is not determined by circumstances, but by how we choose to face them. You can spend the rest of your days waiting for something to happen, or you can make the decision to change now, not tomorrow, not later, now. So the final question for you is, are you ready to break out of stagnation and take the first step towards living the abundance that was already destined for you? The answer is in your hands. Transformation begins the moment you decide to believe. The next step is yours. What are you going to do with it? The awakening continues. If this video opened your eyes to truths you had never seen before, imagine what else you can discover. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content that will transform your life.